because I don't have color here, but click the link and it'll take you to the lecture. So with respect to the individual, how does this manifest in Nietzsche's discussion of life being a will to power, right? Life, the process, unfolds as a consequence of the individual moral agent's drive toward power. Some people have more of that in them. And a person like me, for whatever reasons, the universe created me in such a manner that I can't attain satisfaction in the things that I do, so I'm always in a perpetual chase for something that I will never actually get, right, in a sense. I mean, I do amass a lot of power. I give a lot of power to individuals, and I'm about to actually start a critical thinking lecture series. I'm in the process of sort of putting that together. Probably like a few days, maybe about 4 days in to the process. But there is actual educational theory that talks about the relation, sort of mentoring, and I'll get into this later, wherein an individual who has sort of professional expertise level training can accelerate the educational achievement of those who haven't yet attained that, and we sort of propel each other towards power quickly, much quicker than before, right? So I'll get into that. But how does this look with respect to Nietzsche's discourse on life as a will to power? It's like this. So now we're not talking about acorns and oak trees, we're talking about individuals and power. Now, we recognize that power as manifest isn't really, I wouldn't say it's, I mean, there is a being to power, right? This is really technical now, right? There, and Foucault talks about this, right? Power manifests, but nothing encapsulates power. Power manifests in everything, but there's nothing more foundational for both Foucault and Nietzsche than power. Power is the substrate. Foucault goes on and talks about his disdain for psychology because it is regulated the systematic abuse of power. Right? He hates psychology and I wouldn't say psychologist, but he thinks the discipline of psychology is a crack. Right? Philosophers and psychologists don't really see eye to eye for the most part, but at least not continental. But when we're talking about an individual's directedness towards power, right? I, as an individual agent in the world, manifest that which I already am in my desire for, it's not really desire, but in the process of actualizing the potentiality of power already within, to be technical. And I recognize that insofar as I manifest that, I then generate power. It really becomes, this is not Nietzsche, this is me, the will to power becomes a self-generating process. It's like a human battery. This is, again, the Matrix. It's going to be impossible to make a movie better than that movie in my lifetime. I doubt it. This is where Morpheus takes the battery, the Duracell battery, and he shows it to the camera, and he's like, "This is what we are. We are like a battery. A battery in and of itself is nothing but a potential source for generating power. That's exactly what we are as human beings. Except the power that we're generating isn't like electrical currents in the movie. The power that we generate is in the realization of who it is that we are. Jason J. Campbell is an educator for the masses. That's who I am. I am an analyst at the ridiculous level. I am not actualizing who I am if I'm not analyzing complex data, making sense of it, and then giving it to you in a way that's easily digestible. You then can watch the process of how I do this. I read the same note in Nietzsche and I never saw what he saw. That's what he must be thinking. His brain must be wired in this particular way. How did he get that conclusion? He must have thought this. And then you start to see the process through me representing it for the world, right? I mean, I have a lot to lose here, right? I haven't always been consistent in my lectures. I've made errors and said wrong things, and I put myself out there to be critiqued. But that's where I generate more power for myself, because then there's people who are tuned in that know more than me and say, Dr. Campbell, you were wrong at that point. You said that, but don't you see it? Ah, my bad, my bad. I get stronger, you get stronger, we get stronger. We are now in this process of generating more and more power. And now more and more people have access to more complex thought, so that we can have a discussion like we are today with very, very little sort of background information and get to a very, very deep level of discussion. And I hope I'm still communicating clearly, right? But we're not using as much ghetto philosophy as we probably were in the initial phase, right? This is a little bit deeper. Wait till we get deeper. What we end up realizing is that both actuality and potentiality are reserved for the individual, right? I already am. Literally, here I am. It's undeniable, right? As G.E. Moore says, I know my left hand is my left hand, so stop asking me stupid crap about it. Yeah, I exist. There is an external world. Okay, got it. I am a constituent part of that external world. Okay, got it. However, I recognize that I have an ability that is unique to at least what we know of the animal kingdom. I have a profound ability, and I don't want to say transcends it, but this sounds a little hokey, but it's the most amazing thing that human beings can do. We can actualize potential. I can have an idea in my mind that I'm going to do a 50-hour lecture series and 150 videos, and I've already passed 150 videos, and I'm quickly approaching 50 hours in this. I can take that thing, it's like the Green Lantern. I can take something in my mind that I see, and I can ask myself, is there a contradiction in what I want? Because if there is a contradiction in what I want, and I attempt to actualize a contradiction, destruction is going to follow. This will be important later. If I see it sort of in an occultist sense, with my mind's eye, if I see that thing in the universe, and I recognize that there is no contradiction in that thing, and I am going to then become the vehicle to bring that thing into existence, for me, nothing more powerful in this world, right? So you do whatever it is you do in order to get that thing into existence, right? So if you're a chemist or a physicist, you might look at the world different from other people. You might go to the beach and look at the ocean currents and see something that, you know, everybody's having fun, and you might be watching, really, really observing. If you're like some people, I guess a musician or something, you might sing in the shower, just like everybody else sings in the shower, but you're singing in the shower, you're bringing in a new tune into existence. If you're like me and you're a philosopher, well, you might have to eat a couple of books, right? Just to sort of put yourself in the mind state that I consume this knowledge. I'm bringing this into the world. I'm going to become the vehicle for processing, literally processing this information. And insofar as I process, it's like a turbine, right? The process of living is like a turbine. And what does the turbine generate? It generates power. It generates electricity. My process of deciphering, this is Nietzsche now, right? The process of deciphering this very complex information creates a system of power. Because then what you recognize is that I can apply this to anything. I can apply this to political discourse, international discourse, conflict resolution. I can apply it to sociology. I can apply it to anything, right? And that's what this is about, right? That's what this is about. Insofar as we recognize that, we see that there really is, I don't want to go too far, but it isn't as clearly defined. The being becoming distinction in sort of the Aristotelian sense that was once formulated isn't as clearly defined anymore, because arguably, I know the Heideggerians they're gonna hate this, but the question is becoming being? You know, is it more fluid than as distinct as we once thought? So, very technical. Apologize if that was a little too deep, but that's the idea. Next part, moral evaluation is an exegesis, a way of interpreting. Now, specifically with respect to morality, is art distinction, what I should